actually for jumping from B2. Have you found any suppliers that are being uncooperative with wanting to be approached? And if so, how have you convinced them moving on from there?
Externally, no. So at the moment we're 3 days into our supplier roadshows, and it's safe to say at the moment that, and I think part of that is probably driven by our appalling behaviour they've been on the receiving end of up to this point in terms of bad forecasts, shifting priorities all the time. Probably our most resistant supplier was our own internal supplier, which is BT Cables, where they are. It's all about overall equipment effectiveness, lowest cost, everything else, and they could say, oh, hang on a minute, this is we might not need to produce quite so much here, and rather than view that as an opportunity, we've got more capacity now, let's go out and get more business to use that capacity. So they were reticent at the start, but even they have been won over now simply because of the stability of the load that they're getting. We don't even really speak to them now. They just get visibility of the relative buffer position. They know what the priorities are. They can sort the schedule out on a day-to-day basis themselves to suit, and so they've gradually come to the table. But externally, I think versus what they've been on the receiving end of to date versus what they can, it's not rocket science this when you explain it. They can completely see it and understand it, and that's enough really, I think, to get them excited and on board.
What sort of medium are you communicating what I mean internally or externally? Is it via EDI or is it a platform that people have access to themselves?
So within and Mark can probably expand on it, but within the Orchestrate software there's a supplier portal. So because it's all cloud-based, the supplier can log in and then only have visibility of their items and see, okay, where's all the buffer positions on their particular items, what's just about to signal, what's in the red zone that's a priority you need to expedite, and what's in the green. So, please yourself, jiggle it out in the schedule. And when we started with cables, it was our simple Excel model, just send them the list sorted by relative buffer percentage, one to the top of the list of your priority, one to the bottom, beautifully simple.
Simple.
One second last question.
Yes.
Given that demand-driven adaptive enterprise, we're not yet at, let's say, peak DDMRP, it might be unfair to us, but in 10 years' time, where will we be with DDMRP?
God, I hope I'm retired. No.
8 or 10 years ago, we were all there saying it's big ERP and single solution, but that's not the answer now.
He's looking for a forecast.
You're looking well, first, let me correct. The DDA, the demand-driven adaptive enterprise, is far more than just DDMRP. DDMRP is just a little engine that runs, and it's the little engine that could, but we had to do that first. In 10 years, where are we going to be? Based on, you're going to get Carol's forecast here, is based on the volatility that we're looking at, based on the fact that 1 out of 3 companies are going to die in the United States in the next 5 years. I think we're heading into a chasm. The companies that are going to get over the chasms are the ones that are going to be demand-driven. The other ones are going to die. So you really have a choice, adapt or die. So the only way we can adapt, that we can live in that kind of volatility, is to be demand-driven. So what we've seen already to this point, all you need is one big company in an industry segment to go demand-driven, and it drives the entire industry segment that way. Luxury goods, boom, demand-driven. Why? Because Louis Vuitton went first. So that's what we're seeing. I did some work with Stephen Melnick, Dr. Melnick out of Michigan State University. That's the #1 supply chain program in the United States. He's the one that alerted us to that. He says, you're not just changing companies. This is not like a lean implementation where you change a company. Demand-driven is so disruptive in a positive way that when you take the first company in an industry segment and they do it, it's going to force the rest of the industry to go. We're seeing big ERP. For us, we do software compliance, and we don't charge the software companies for that because we don't ever want to be accused, as some accuse some of the other analyst firms. The more you spend with them, the higher you rank. We do it for free. we have what we call, I call it our shame list, where we have listed in the order in which they qualify the software companies that are compliant. Then we have a section for these are the companies that we're working with. And here's a list of people that claim that they have DDMRP engine, just the engine, not the whole DDAE, just the engine. And we've never looked at their software. So the way it's phrased on our website is, since we have not seen the software, we deem it at this point to be non-compliant. So that's the shame list. We've had calls from 3 of those companies this week. We want to show you our software. Thinking it's about time. So we're seeing the software companies are starting to flip. We know that one big company in every industry segment is flipping. Michelin's already gone, so guess what? I got another call from another big tire manufacturer. The luxury goods, we see consumer products with, Unilever. We see, like Shell's going down the road, British Telecom, all the telecommunications industries, their heads popped up. You only need one. The tipping point on demand-driven is so low. It's one major company in an industry. And you heard the kind of results that these guys are doing, and to be honest, it's average. But the hardest part, here's the hardest part. Sorry, darling, but it's average. The hardest part of the whole thing is getting the CFO, the CEO, the COO to realize the possibility for their company. Because they believe that we're doing a good job, we could not be leaving that much money on the table. That's the hardest thing to get them over. So typically when we go in and talk to executives, we'll tell the executives what we think they can achieve, divided by 2, divided by 2, divided by 2, and take 10% of that, that's what we tell them. All right? And they still don't believe that number. And then as you saw, I forget whose presentation, I think it was yours, that showed what they simulated was here, what they actually got. Inventory went down here with the highest level of customer service. So the results they're getting, I think it was yours, I forget who it was, but they showed that the simulation was actually conservative. And I know when Unilever did its early simulations, they're like, oh no, we can't be that bad, we're Unilever. And the actual results that they got was actually much better. So it was interesting, I got to judge the hackathon at Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton did a big hackathon where they educated the kids, college kids. They got like 2 hours of demand-driven, and then they turned them loose with the simulation software, and they gave them actual Vuitton data. And the kids came back with what the potential was. The executives were sitting in the front row. Afterwards, I had the confidential call with them. They said, we had no idea we had that much opportunity. That's the hardest part, is realizing how much money you're leaving on the table. The companies, like BT, Unilever, Allergan, they're starting to exploit that capability now. Demand-driven, DDMRP is just a little piece of it. It's the little engine you got to have in there. It's the rest of the stuff. The stuff that we're talking about in demand-driven adaptive enterprise, that totally blows up how you run your company. You're looking at how do I maximize return on investment and my growth of return on investment. That is an entirely different management skill than how do I minimize cost. And to me, a lot more fun. So it's so disruptive. The scales are going to flip and it's going to happen very quickly because it's based on complex adaptive systems, because companies are complex adaptive systems. And the really cool thing about complex adaptive systems, Archimedes taught us this before Christ, is that you need to put in the lever, and you got a lever long enough, you can move the world. And that's what I think demand-driven adaptive enterprise is going to do. Because your other option is die.
If I think about the options of APS systems, that to me seems to be a world of everything is a signal. And it sort of tries to react to everything that happens. And sometimes it wasn't. If I'm a bit on the other side of what I think I perceive about this DDMRP, it seems to say everything is noise, so ignore it and run on lagged averages. Intuitively, it sounds like there could be something that was better in the middle. Is that incompatible, or have I missed a trick?
You missed a trick, okay? Don't confuse 2 things. One is how I set the model. The second is how I replenish, okay? The first thing is how I set the model, I just need to be roughly right. So a lagging indicator, if I want to use historical running averages for my ADUs, close enough. The reality is that if you're off on your average daily usage on that run rate, plus minus 30%, the engine doesn't care, okay? mean, it really doesn't care. Brian talked about how far can you push it before you're going to kill it. What'd you say? Something like 60, 70%, either way. Okay, now try to put that into an APO system. Say, yeah, it's right, plus minus 60%. Okay? So don't confuse the configuration, the positioning, with the planning. Remember, it's position, protect, and pull. So there's two things you got to get through your brain. One is it's about the design. Okay, that's positioning. The actual pull, the planning side of it, is in response to an actual order. There is no better signal. Okay? There is no better. There is no more relevant information than an actual order. So the replenishment only happens when an actual order comes in. All right? So that, good there? Okay? So that's the difference between the two. So it isn't just ignoring all the signals. It's actually taking into account the actual orders. And the other thing that you've got to have in your mind too is that we've all been brainwashed in the terms of MRP, which is what is the right answer? When is MRP happy? When the number is what? 0. MRP assumes perfection. Now 0 can be safety stock, but it's still 0. So MRP assumes perfection. What does lean assume? Kanban. What does it assume? Perfection. It assumes that tomorrow looks exactly like yesterday. What does DDMRP assume? You're living in a very imperfect, volatile world. So therefore, 0 is not the right answer. You have to have some inventory. If you don't have some inventory, then you're going to impede flow. And you can either fall off that tail one way or another, either too little or too much. But either way, the ROI goes down on either side. That's the hardest thing for people to wrap their brains around, is inventory is an asset. And like any other asset, it should generate a return on that asset or you shouldn't have it there. So DDMRP is actually between the 2 points. Don't confuse configuration with execution. Okay? The configuration is the key part of it, and still, even if you get that mostly wrong, you're still going to get benefit. But the planning side actually reacts to actual orders. And the right answer is not 0. For the decoupling points. For the decoupling points. Between the decoupling points, dependent like it always has been. Please don't throw out MRP. Okay? Material requirements planning is the absolute right answer between decoupling points. We don't stock everything. Stocks, part positions of stocking are only at the strategic decoupling points. And why are they there? Because it decouples, it absorbs variability from both sides, it improves return on investment, and it's my primary planning mechanism. Between those decoupling points, it's dependent like it always has been. We're not going to stock everything. It's crazy. Can't. That doesn't mean I'm not demand driven. Demand driven means is that I activate the replenishment only on actual demand.